The first time my sister told me I was just support staff, I was 24 years old with an MBA from Wharton and 3 years of consulting experience at McKinsey. We were at a family barbecue. I'd made a comment about diversification strategy for our family's company, Hartwell Media Group. Something I'd observed in the quarterly reports that still got mailed to my apartment because technically, I was a minority shareholder through a trust grandma had set up. That's interesting input from the admin perspective, my sister Victoria said with a patronizing smile. But strategic decisions require board-level understanding. Maybe focus on, I don't know, whatever it is you actually do at that consulting firm. Making copies. The entire family laughed. I was a senior associate at one of the most prestigious consulting firms in the world. I'd led restructuring projects for Fortune 500 companies. I'd presented recommendations to CEOs and CFOs who actually listened. But to my family I was Emma. The youngest. The one who didn't work at Hartwell Media. The outsider. Hartwell Media Group was my great-grandfather's legacy. Started in 1952 as a small radio station, grown over 3 generations into a regional media conglomerate worth approximately $340 million. We owned 6 television stations, 12 radio stations, 3 newspapers, and a growing digital media division. My father, Richard Hartwell, was CEO. My mother, Patricia, was CFO. My older brother David was Executive VP of Operations. My sister Victoria was VP of Digital Strategy. Me. I wasn't invited to work there. The company needs fresh outside perspectives, Dad had told me when I finished my MBA. You'll be more valuable to the family after you've built independent experience. Plus, we don't want people thinking we just hand out executive positions to family members. David had joined straight out of undergrad with a degree in communications and a 2.8 GPA. Victoria had been hired after getting her master's in marketing, despite having no actual work experience beyond a summer internship at Dad's golf buddy's firm. But I needed to build independent experience. I spent 6 years at McKinsey. Worked on media industry projects. Learned everything about operational efficiency, digital transformation, competitive strategy, market analysis. Made partner track. Earned $280,000 a year. And every time I went home for holidays, my family treated me like I was a secretary who'd wandered into the executive suite by mistake. How's your little consulting job? Mom would ask. Still doing that analyst thing? David would say. When are you going to get a real position at a real company? Victoria would smirk. Hartwell Media, meanwhile, was struggling. The industry was transforming. Digital disruption was killing traditional media. Print advertising was collapsing. Local television was losing viewers to streaming. Radio was being destroyed by podcasts and Spotify. Companies that didn't adapt were dying. Hartwell wasn't adapting. I could see it in every quarterly report. Revenue declining year over year. Profit margins compressing. Digital division underperforming despite Victoria's leadership. Operating costs climbing while returns diminished. The company needed restructuring. Strategic repositioning. Digital-first thinking. Painful decisions about legacy assets. But my family was in denial. Traditional media will bounce back, Dad insisted at every family dinner. This is just a temporary disruption. People will always want quality local journalism and broadcasting. He was wrong. I'd worked on enough media projects to know, adapt or die. There was no middle ground. When I was 29, opportunity knocked. A former McKinsey colleague, Jennifer Park, had left consulting to become a partner at Redstone Capital, a private equity firm specializing in distressed media assets. We'd stayed friends, got drinks occasionally, talked industry trends. Over wine one night she said something that changed everything. Your family's company is in trouble. I sighed. I know. They won't listen to me. No, Emma. I mean serious trouble. We've been analyzing Hartwell Media as a potential acquisition target. Your financial trajectory is unsustainable. Without major restructuring, you're looking at bankruptcy or forced sale within 3 to 5 years. My stomach dropped. That bad? The traditional revenue streams are collapsing faster than digital can compensate. Your cost structure is bloated. Leadership is making defensive decisions instead of transformative ones. And your debt load is becoming dangerous. What would Redstone do if you acquired it? Restructure aggressively. Cut unprofitable assets. Invest in digital. Replace management with operators who understand the new media landscape. Turn it around or sell the pieces. My family would never sell. Jennifer looked at me carefully. What if they didn't have a choice? What do you mean? Hartwell is publicly traded. Your family owns 52% through various holdings. But 48% is available on the market. If someone acquired enough shares, built relationships with the board, demonstrated better leadership, they could force changes. A hostile takeover? More like a competency intervention. Emma, you're the smartest media strategist I know. You understand this industry better than your entire family combined. Why are you on the outside watching them drive your legacy into the ground? I thought about it for a long time. What would it take? Asked finally. Capital, strategy, patience, and a willingness to do what they won't see coming. 3 months later, I did something that would either save my family's company or destroy my relationship with them forever. I liquidated everything. My investment portfolio, my savings, my retirement accounts. Took out loans against my McKinsey partnership stake. Called in every favor. Talked to every wealthy contact I'd made in 6 years of consulting. I raised $8.2 million. Then I started buying Hartwell Media stock. The stock was trading at $14 per share, down from $38 5 years earlier. The market had lost confidence. Volume was low. Nobody was paying attention. I bought slowly. Small lots through different accounts. Nothing that would trigger regulatory attention. Over 18 months, I accumulated 380,000 shares, roughly 8% of the company. Cost me everything and left me leveraged to terrifying levels. But I wasn't done. Through Jennifer's connections, I met with the institutional investors who owned significant Hartwell positions. Pension funds, mutual funds, investment firms. They were frustrated. They'd watched their holdings lose value for years. They wanted change. The current leadership is inadequate, I told them in private meetings. I've analyzed every aspect of this company. I know where it's failing and how to fix it. With the right management, Hartwell Media could be worth $600 million within 3 years. And you think you're the right management? One fund manager asked skeptically. I presented my credentials. My McKinsey experience. My media industry expertise. My family knowledge of the company's assets and culture. My detailed turnaround plan. The Hartwell family won't support you, another investor said. They don't have to. They need to be outvoted on the board. I need you to vote for real change. It took months of cultivation. Presentations. Relationship building. Demonstrating competence. Slowly I built a coalition. Institutional investors controlling another 22% of shares agreed to support new leadership. My 8% plus their 22% gave me 30% support. The family had 52%. I was still outgunned. But I had one more card to play. Hartwell's board had 9 seats. 5 were family members, Dad, Mom, David, Victoria, and Uncle Robert. 4 were outside directors, independent businesspeople required by corporate governance. Those 4 outside directors had watched the company decline for years. They'd asked hard questions that the family deflected. They were frustrated. I approached them individually, quietly. The company needs professional management, I told them. The family is too emotionally attached to legacy assets and outdated strategies. I can fix this, but I need board support. Your family too, one director pointed out. I'm family who's been excluded from the business for 30 years. I have no emotional attachment to defending bad decisions. I care about results. What are you proposing? A board resolution to conduct a CEO search. Evaluate all candidates, internal and external, based purely on qualifications and vision. Let the best person win. The family will never vote for that. They don't have to. Under corporate bylaws, a simple board majority can initiate executive evaluation. 5 votes. The 4 of you plus 1 family member. You think a family member would vote against Richard? If the alternative is bankruptcy? Maybe. I targeted Uncle Robert. He was the most financially sophisticated family member, a semi-retired investment banker who joined the board 5 years ago. He was also the least emotionally invested in preserving Dad's ego. I sent him my analysis of Hartwell's financial situation. All the ugly numbers Dad and Mom were sugarcoating. The debt service eating into cash flow. The declining asset values. The existential threats. Then I sent him my turnaround plan. Actionable. Profitable. He called me 2 days later. Emma, this analysis is exceptional. Thank you, Uncle Robert. Your father isn't going to like this. The question isn't what Dad likes. It's what saves the company. Silence. Then, you're right. Let me think about it. 1 week later, the board voted 5-4 to initiate a CEO evaluation process. Uncle Robert had voted with the outside directors. Dad was furious. Called an emergency family meeting. Everyone except me. I heard about it from Victoria's Instagram story. A photo of the whole family at dinner with the caption, "Sometimes family has to stick together against outside interference." #Hartwell Strong. The CEO search was announced publicly. Applications were invited. An executive search firm was retained. I applied under my professional credentials. Emma Hartwell, McKinsey partner, media industry specialist, MBA from Wharton, extensive restructuring experience. So did several external candidates. High-profile media executives from around the country. David and Victoria both applied for the CEO role. Neither had anywhere near sufficient qualifications. The search committee, the 4 outside directors plus Uncle Robert, interviewed candidates for 6 weeks. I presented a 90-page turnaround plan. Detailed analysis of every business unit. Specific recommendations for each asset. Digital transformation strategy. Cost restructuring. Growth opportunities. Timeline and metrics. This is the most thorough strategic assessment we've seen, the committee chair said. You clearly understand this company intimately. I've been studying it my entire life, I replied. Even when I wasn't invited to participate. The family dynamics concern us, another director said carefully. Can you lead effectively when 4 board members are your relatives who may resent you? Can the company survive effectively with leadership that's prioritizing family harmony over business reality? I countered. That's the question you should be asking. The committee deliberated for 2 weeks. Then I got the call. Emma, the board would like to offer you the position of Chief Executive Officer of Hartwell Media Group. I was 30 years old. And I'd just become CEO of the company that had never wanted me. I accepted. The announcement was scheduled for the quarterly board meeting. A formal session where the appointment would be voted on by the full board. A formality since the search committee's recommendation was binding, and then announced to shareholders and the media. Nobody told my family it was me. The meeting was set for Friday at 2 p.m. at Hartwell headquarters. That morning I was in my apartment in Chicago packing. I'd need to relocate back home to run the company. My phone rang. Victoria. Emma. Are you coming to the board meeting today? I was surprised she called. Why would I come to that? Well, you're a shareholder. Technically you can attend. We're announcing the new CEO. Thought you might want to see who the board picked since you're interested in the company or whatever. The condescension dripped through the phone. I'm actually pretty busy today, I said. Your loss. It's going to be a big announcement. The new CEO is supposedly some hotshot from out of state. David's been doing research. Thinks it might be Frank Morrison from Denver Media Partners. He's got experience but honestly seems kind of overrated. Sounds interesting. Yeah, well, we'll see. The family's not thrilled about an outsider, but we'll adapt. We still control the board, so whoever it is will have to respect our vision. Right. Good luck with that. Thanks. Oh, and Emma? Maybe stop sending Uncle Robert all those doom and gloom reports about the company. It's not helpful. We've got everything under control. I smiled. I'll keep that in mind. I arrived at Hartwell headquarters at 1:45 p.m. Wore my best navy suit, Tom Ford, the one I'd bought when I made partner. Carried a leather portfolio with my strategic plan. The receptionist's eyes widened when I walked in. Miss Hartwell. It's fine, Jennifer. I'm expected. I walked past her toward the executive conference room. Through the glass walls I could see them all assembled. Dad at the head of the table in his usual seat. Mom to his right. David and Victoria on the sides. Uncle Robert next to David. The 4 outside directors along the far end. And an empty chair at the other head of the table. The CEO's chair. Victoria saw me first. She actually did a double take, then got up and walked toward the door. I reached it just as she opened it. Emma? What are you doing here? I'm here for the meeting. This is a board meeting. Executive level only. Families allowed as shareholders, but this isn't really. She looked uncomfortable. This is kind of important business. Boring corporate stuff. I'm aware. David had joined her at the door. Vic's right. This isn't really the place for. You don't work here. This is for board members and executives. I see. I looked past them into the room. Made eye contact with the lead outside director, Margaret Chin. She smiled slightly and nodded. Look, Victoria said, lowering her voice. We're announcing the new CEO today. It's going to be complicated with family dynamics and everything. Maybe it's better if you wait outside? We can fill you in after. No assistance in executive meetings, David added. Board members only. Company policy. Victoria winced at his phrasing but nodded. Exactly. This is really just for official company leadership. I'd spent 30 years hearing variations of this. Excluded from business discussions. Dismissed as irrelevant. Told I didn't belong. Okay, I said quietly. I understand. I turned and walked back down the hallway. Heard the conference room door close behind me. Jennifer, the receptionist, looked at me sympathetically. I'm sorry, Miss Hartwell. Your sister can be. It's fine, I said. I walked to the executive suite. To the corner office that had been Dad's for 20 years. It was mine now. My name was already on the door. Emma Hartwell, Chief Executive Officer. I went inside, set down my portfolio, took a deep breath. My phone buzzed. Text from Margaret Chin, ready when you are. I texted back, give me 2 minutes. I fixed my hair, straightened my jacket, picked up my portfolio. Then I walked back to the conference room. Through the glass I could see the meeting had started. Margaret was speaking. Dad looked confused. Victoria and David were leaning forward, trying to hear. I opened the door and walked in. Everyone turned. Sorry to interrupt, I said calmly. Emma Hartwell reporting for the board meeting. Margaret smiled. Perfect timing. Please take your seat. She gestured to the empty chair at the head of the table. The CEO's chair. I walked around the table. Victoria's face was confused. David's was blank. Dad's was beginning to register concern. I sat down in the CEO's chair. What's going on? Dad asked. Margaret, we're trying to announce. I was just getting to that, Margaret said. Thank you all for attending today's board meeting. As you know, we've completed the CEO search process. The committee interviewed several exceptional candidates, both internal and external. Victoria was looking at me with increasing alarm. David's confusion was shifting to comprehension. After extensive evaluation, Margaret continued, the search committee unanimously recommends, and the board will now vote to confirm Emma Hartwell as Chief Executive Officer of Hartwell Media Group. The silence was absolute. Dad's face went white. That's not, you can't. The vote is purely procedural, Margaret said. The search committee's recommendation is binding under the corporate bylaws that the board approved 3 years ago. However, we'll formalize it. All in favor of appointing Emma Hartwell as CEO. 4 outside directors raised their hands immediately. Uncle Robert, after a brief hesitation, raised his hand. Aye. 5 votes. A board majority. Motion passes, Margaret said. Emma Hartwell is officially CEO of Hartwell Media Group as of today. Victoria stood up abruptly. This is insane. You can't just, she doesn't even work here. She does now, Margaret replied calmly. She's 30 years old. The same age Mark Zuckerberg was when Facebook went public, I said quietly. Age is less relevant than capability. David was shaking his head. Dad, do something. This is wrong. She has no experience running a media company. Actually, Uncle Robert spoke up, Emma has more relevant experience than anyone in this room. She's been a partner at McKinsey specializing in media industry restructuring. She's worked on turnaround projects for companies much larger than ours. And her strategic assessment of Hartwell was the most sophisticated analysis I've seen in 30 years of finance. Mom found her voice. She's been plotting against us. Manipulating the board. This is a betrayal. No, I said firmly. This is a rescue. You've been driving the company toward bankruptcy. Someone had to stop it. We're not anywhere near bankruptcy, Dad said defensively. You're 3 years away, possibly less. I opened my portfolio and pulled out spreadsheets. Your debt service consumes 35% of operating cash flow. Your traditional revenue streams are declining at 12% annually. Your digital division loses money. You've been drawing down reserves to maintain distributions. At current trajectory, you'll violate debt covenants by Q3 next year. Those numbers are exaggerated, Mom said. Those numbers are from your own financial statements. I've spent 18 months analyzing every aspect of this company. I know exactly how bad it is. And I know exactly how to fix it. By throwing us out? David demanded. By implementing professional management. David, you've been Executive VP of Operations for 8 years. Under your leadership, operational costs have increased 23% while output declined 15%. That's objectively poor performance. His face reddened. You're criticizing work you know nothing about. I've restructured operations at 6 different media companies. I know exactly what good performance looks like. This isn't it. Victoria jumped in. And I suppose you think my digital strategy has been a failure too? Your digital division has never been profitable. You've invested $40 million over 5 years with negative ROI. The strategy isn't working because it's based on replicating print models online instead of native digital thinking. You're so arrogant. I'm accurate. There's a difference. Dad stood up, his voice rising. This is my company. My legacy. You can't just walk in and... It's not your company, Richard, Margaret interrupted. It's a publicly traded corporation with fiduciary duties to all shareholders. The board has determined that Emma is the best person to lead that corporation forward. Your personal feelings are irrelevant. The family controls this company, Dad said. We own 52% of shares. You own 52% of shares, Uncle Robert corrected. But only 5 of 9 board seats. The outside directors plus me are the majority. We voted for change. That's how corporate governance works. You betrayed your own family, Victoria said to Uncle Robert. I protected the family's investment, he replied. If the company fails, your 52% becomes worthless. Emma is our best chance at survival. The room erupted in arguments. Victoria shouting about loyalty. David questioning my qualifications. Mom crying. Dad making threats about legal action. I sat quietly waiting. Finally, Margaret banged the gavel. Order. This discussion is over. Emma is CEO by board vote. That's final. We'll now move to the public announcement. She pulled out a prepared press release. This goes to media outlets in 1 hour. Hartwell Media Group announces leadership transition. Emma Hartwell named CEO. Industry veteran to lead digital transformation and strategic repositioning. You can't do this, Dad said desperately. It's already done, I replied. The announcement is scheduled. My employment contract is signed. The transition is happening. What about us? David asked. Our positions? I looked at him directly. That's what I need to discuss with all of you. Can we have a family conversation? Just the 5 of us. Margaret nodded. The board will step out. Emma, you have the room. The outside directors and Uncle Robert left. The door closed. It was just me, Dad, Mom, Victoria, and David. The family that had excluded me for 30 years. Here's the situation, I said calmly. I'm CEO. That's not changing. The board supports me. The institutional investors support me. I have the authority to restructure this company completely. And you're going to fire us, Victoria said bitterly. That depends on you. I'm going to evaluate every position in this company based purely on performance and qualifications. If you can demonstrate value, there may be roles for you. If not, you'll be transitioned out with generous severance. You're threatening your own family, Mom said. I'm holding family to the same standards I'll hold everyone else. That's called fairness. Dad sat down heavily. He looked older suddenly. Defeated. Why didn't you just talk to us? Why go behind our backs? Would you have listened? I asked. When have you ever listened to me? I've been trying to talk to you for 15 years. Every suggestion dismissed. Every observation ignored. Every achievement minimized. You never once considered that I might have something valuable to contribute. We thought you were happy at McKinsey, Mom said weakly. You thought I was conveniently out of the way, I corrected. You didn't want me here. You made that clear repeatedly. So I built my career elsewhere. Became excellent at what I do. And now that excellence is the only thing that can save your company. What do you want from us? Dad asked quietly. I want you to let me do my job. I want you to accept that the company needs dramatic change. I want you to trust that I actually know what I'm doing, even though you've never believed it before. And if we can't do that, then you'll have to decide what matters more, your egos or your legacy. Because Hartwell Media will survive under my leadership. Whether you're part of that is your choice. The room was silent. Finally, Uncle Robert knocked and entered. Emma, the PR team needs approval on the announcement. Give me 5 minutes, I said. After he left, I looked at my family. I'm giving you all the weekend to think. Monday morning we'll have individual meetings. I'll evaluate your positions and performance. We'll discuss where you fit in the new structure. Come prepared to justify your roles based on results, not relationships. This is humiliating, Victoria said. No, I replied. This is accountability. Something none of you have experienced in this company. I stood up. The announcement goes out in 45 minutes. After that, the media will want statements. I suggest you decide what you want to say. Whether you support the transition or publicly undermine it. Choose carefully. Institutional investors are watching. I walked to the door. Paused. Turned back. For what it's worth, I don't want to destroy our family. But I won't sacrifice the company to preserve dysfunction. If you can accept that, we can work together. If not, I shrugged. Then I'll do this without you. I left them sitting there. Went to my new office. Signed off on the press release. Made calls to key stakeholders. Prepared talking points for media interviews. At 4 p.m. the announcement went public. My phone exploded. Messages from former colleagues, industry contacts, journalists. LinkedIn notifications. Twitter mentions. Holy shit, Emma, you're CEO of your family's company? Congratulations. Youngest female CEO in regional media. Can we schedule an interview about your turnaround plans? And from my family, silence. Until that evening when I received an email from Dad. Emma, this is difficult for me to write. You've accomplished something I never thought possible. The board clearly has confidence in you. I don't agree with how this happened, but I can't deny that you're qualified. I'm not ready to celebrate, but I'm willing to meet Monday to discuss how I might contribute going forward. I hope you'll give me that chance. Dad. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't acceptance. But it was a start. Monday morning I met with each family member individually. Dad first. I reviewed his performance as CEO objectively. The declining metrics. The missed opportunities. The strategic failures. Your tenure as CEO was unsustainable, I told him. The company was dying. You were too close to see it. He listened. Actually listened. What happens to me now? He asked. I'd like you to become chairman emeritus. A board position with advisory capacity. You maintain dignity and title. You provide institutional knowledge when I request it. But you don't interfere with operations. He considered it. I can live with that. I need you to support me publicly. No undermining. No second-guessing. Can you do that? A long pause. Then, yes. I can do that. Mom was harder. She'd been CFO despite having minimal finance credentials. She'd essentially managed bookkeeping while outsourcing actual financial strategy. The CFO role requires professional expertise, I told her. I'm bringing in someone with institutional investment experience. But I'd like you to continue handling H. You're actually quite good with people management. She wasn't happy but accepted. David was angry. Defensive. Unwilling to acknowledge his poor performance. You're not qualified to judge my work, he said. I'm the CEO. Judging work is literally my job. This is about revenge. About being excluded as a kid. This is about running a company effectively. Your operational performance is objectively inadequate. I'm restructuring operations under new leadership. Your position is being eliminated. You're firing me. I'm offering you a choice. Accept a reduced role managing one of our smaller radio stations, which will give you opportunity to prove yourself. Or take a generous severance and pursue opportunities elsewhere. He chose severance. left with bitter parting words about family betrayal. Victoria was the most resistant. "I've built the digital division from nothing," she said defensively. "You've invested $40 million into a division that loses money," I countered. "That's not success. Digital takes time to become profitable." 5 years is plenty of time. Victoria, you're implementing strategies from 2010. The digital landscape has changed completely. I'm bringing in someone who understands current best practices. So I'm fired too. I'm restructuring your role. You'll lead audience engagement, social media, community building, brand presence. Things you're actually good at. But strategic digital planning will report directly to me. She refused. "I'm not taking a demotion." "Then I'll accept your resignation." She left too. Within 6 months, I transformed Hartwell Media. Sold 3 unprofitable newspapers and 2 underperforming radio stations. Used proceeds to pay down debt and invest in digital infrastructure. Restructured operations. Cut costs 22% while improving output quality. Hired a real digital strategist who understood streaming, podcasts, mobile-first content. Rebuilt relationships with advertisers who'd left. Launched 3 new digital properties that actually generated revenue. The numbers told the story. Q1. Losses reduced 60%. Q2. Return to profitability. Q3. Revenue up 8%, first growth in 4 years. Q4. Profit margin highest in company history. Stock price went from $14 to $31. Industry recognition followed. 30 under 30 media executives. Turnaround CEO of the Year. Featured in Fortune, How Emma Hartwell Saved Her Family's Legacy. Dad attended the annual shareholder meeting where I presented year 1 results. He sat in the back. Didn't speak. But he stayed for the entire presentation. Afterward he approached me. "That was impressive. Thank you." "I'm sorry," he said. "For all those years. For not seeing what you were capable of." "You're sorry now that I've proven myself," I replied. "That's not quite the same thing." "No. It's not." He looked down. "But it's genuine. I was wrong about you. Completely wrong. And I'm proud of what you've accomplished even though I made it harder than it should have been." I nodded. "I appreciate you saying that. Can we have dinner sometime? Really talk?" I thought about it. "Maybe. Eventually. But not yet." "I understand." He walked away. Victoria and David never apologized. They took their severance packages and moved to different states. I hear about them occasionally through family channels. Both struggling to find positions that match the inflated titles they once held. Mom adapted. She's actually excellent at HR and employee relations. We have a cordial professional relationship. Uncle Robert became my closest advisor. "You did what I couldn't," he told me. "You had the courage to make the hard decisions." I'm 32 now. Hartwell Media is thriving. We're growing, innovating, competing. Last month I walked past the executive conference room where Victoria had once told me, "No assistants in executive meetings." I paused. Looked at the table where I'd been excluded so many times. Now it's where I lead board meetings as chairman and CEO. My assistant appeared. "Miss Hartwell, the board is assembled. They're ready when you are." "Thank you, Michael. I'll be right there." I walked into the room. Took my seat at the head of the table. "Good morning," I said. "Let's talk about Q2 strategy." The board leaned forward attentively, waiting for my guidance. These people, some who'd doubted me, some who'd supported me, some who'd excluded me, now looked to me for leadership. Not because I was family. Because I'd earned it. 29 years of being dismissed. 6 years of building expertise they never acknowledged. 18 months of strategic planning they never saw coming. Now I run the company they said I'd never be qualified to join. Turns out, no assistants in executive meetings was just another thing they were wrong about. Because I'm not the assistant. I'm the CEO. And the company they almost destroyed is now more successful than it's been in 15 years. Some people are born into leadership positions. Others have to take them. I did both. And I'm just getting started.